What up? What up? What up? We are back with the episode of the Art of Hustle podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us today, Dan Vetras. How you doing today, Dan?
Good, Corn. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Dan is a longtime Lift Fitness Studio member, also the CEO of Collective Technology. He brings over 30 years of executive experience running global companies, creating high performance cultures, and navigating the future of business in an AI driven world. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready, yeah.
Dan, where are you from?
I'm from a small town in New England, Clinton, Massachusetts, about 12,000 people, one public high school. So, very small upbringing.
Yeah. So coming from that small place to running a global company now, how has that journey been for you as an overall?
It's been a ride. I've always wanted to see more of the world. And I was very fortunate early in my career with a software company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, to be assigned to an expat opportunity in Windsor, England. And that really opened up my eyes in my 20s. So kind of never looked back from there.
Gotcha. So that was before the whole internet boom, all that good
That was
stuff.
well before the internet, Corn. That was well before smartphones. Yeah, that was a desktop computer and landlines. And although we did in that same company, we adopted cellular technology for calls, and that's when they literally mounted the phone in your car.
I see those vintage.
And had an antenna on the back.
Yeah.
It was pretty, but it worked. I had people calling me from the States over in England on cellular technology, driving up and down the New Jersey Turnpike and other places.
That's so wild. Is the weird thing about those times compared to today where you have a
Yeah, I mean, the compute power today in your phone is like a mainframe was 20, 30 years ago. The smartphone is a tool. If you don't have a laptop, you can do everything on your phone that you need to. It's not as easy because the screen's not as big, but certainly it's as functional as a laptop or a desktop. Yeah.
thing. So what originally pulled you in towards business tech?
Yeah, I got lucky, like a lot of people do in their careers. I had some opportunities coming out of school. Thought I was going to go into coaching. Looked at that pretty hard. Had an offer from one of my assistants that took a head job at a D2 school in Connecticut, and then ended up getting an offer from a big tech company in Massachusetts, one of the biggest in the world at that time. And they offered some pretty in-depth 6-month training where you had to succeed along the way. You could get washed out if you didn't cut it, but luckily I did, and kind of never looked back. Just took that opportunity and continued moving into different roles in tech, and then eventually the one I've been in now for the last 4 companies I run as the CEO.
How's that journey been as a CEO?
Well, the first one was interesting to say the least. The founder wanted someone to come in with a lot of sales and services background. I had a friend who was a venture capitalist who just put money in this company. I got a call. I interviewed with the founder. We got along great. And we went out to raise money with an investment bank helping us. And when we got back from our road show, we went to the Bay Area, Chicago, New York City, as you would. That's where a lot of the private equity and venture money is in this country. And the bankers said, the good news is that we have a lot of interest in this company. And the more challenging news is they won't put the money in unless Dan is the CEO.
Oh boy. Talk about pressure.
Yeah. Well, and talk about having to thread the needle, because I really respected this woman who started the company.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, she was more than willing to give up the reins and take a role as chairwoman of the board. And they put me in the CEO role. She was, as many founders are, she was a classical optimist. And to use a football analogy, which you can relate to, she thought she was throwing me the ball on the 20 going in. It was really the other 20. We had 80 yards to go or more.
Yeah.
But I learned an awful lot, and I really respect the fact that she was as willing to understand what the business needs were based on what those investors required. So it worked out.
Yeah. Talk about hearing that for the first time that they wanted you in that seat. What was your kind of instant reaction?
Well, I wanted the challenge, obviously, but I was a little bit overwhelmed. I'd never done anything like that before. I'd been in management roles, but mostly in sales functions. And I joke that the title really should be CSO, Chief Selling Officer, not CEO, because you're always selling somebody on something, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought I could do it, but there was some hesitancy, but I never showed that publicly because people tend to hang on a lot of what you say in that role, like they do a coach and other leaders. And so I didn't want to look like I was, flinching.
Right. That's awesome. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
In that one or the other three I've run after that?
Let's talk about other three.
Well, the second one didn't go as well. So we sold that company that I was asked to run, and that did well. And the same investors, the lead investors, asked me to come in and help out a founder in a second company. These are both in Bellevue, Washington, suburb of Seattle. And that guy said the right things, but didn't really exercise what he was telling the investors to bring me in. So kind of accepted me, but then didn't. So it was a really challenging time. I joked that, I don't have an MBA. I came from a very, very small school in New England. I have a science degree, but it's in political science, not computer science. So there's not a lot of applicability to running a tech company. Yeah. And so he went to one of the IITs in India, which is the highest end set of schools, kind of like the MITs, Carnegie Mellons, et cetera. He went to Harvard, got his MBA. He was at Microsoft as a product manager. And so from that perspective, we probably had nothing in common. But we ended up really having a good and positive relationship down the road. But for the first 6 to 12 months, he made it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I just refused to quit because the investors asked me to come in again and said, there's got to be a way we can work together. And luckily, he is a serial entrepreneur. So he was off running another company pretty quickly too. And then it became mine to run. But there was, a massive cultural challenge for me. We had as many people in Bangalore, India, as we had in Bellevue, Washington.
Oh, wow.
In fact, we had more down there.
And this is when?
Oh, God, in the 90s. I was going there on average 4 to 6 times a year. And from Seattle, you'd fly through London 10 hours and then down to Bangalore 10 hours. And then you're upside down, literally time-wise. So it was an adjustment for sure.
That's a big travel.
Yeah.
You talk about cultural change. How did you, I guess, gel that into one positive energy to move the company forward?
Well, I read and studied as much as I possibly could about Indian culture in that particular case. And I made sure I kept up on as many, if not all, the current events down there, political ones, business ones, so that when I rolled into Bangalore for a week or more, I could not only act as the CEO during the day, but when we went out to dinner at night, talk about things that were happening in their country and that, I was curious about. I showed genuine interest because I like to learn, and I particularly like to learn about different cultures. So that was probably the biggest thing I could have done to ingratiate myself with their culture.
That's awesome. How much did your sports journey contribute to your success now? Because it sounds like you had to understand your team, your players next to you.
No, I think it was. Yeah, I played 3 sports in high school, like a lot of people did back then. I was decent at all of them, but good enough to end up playing Division II football. I was okay there. But what I learned from my teammates from all over the Northeast, from different places, different upbringings, different backgrounds, I pledged with the first Black person in our fraternity ever
Oh, wow.
as a teammate as well. And that was an interesting experience.
But that was
The pledging was they don't allow you to do what they did to us back then.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, thank God for no cell phones back then.
Yeah, or any video.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I attribute all of it. I use that a lot when I speak to the employees. I literally just sent out Dan Lanning's post-game interview from the weekend. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
I saw snippets of it.
It's pretty impressive and compelling, and he articulates what I think a lot of people are feeling in this country right now, if not around the world. So I try not to bury people with sports metaphors, but I don't think there's anyone in my company, including those that are outside of the U.S. that attend meetings that doesn't know what Lombardi time is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's actually a definition of that if you Google it.
Yeah. You want to explain to the listeners what Lombardi time is?
So that's the coach the Super Bowl trophy is named after. That's the coach that was with the Green Bay Packers originally. They won the first 2 Super Bowls. This is an aside, but I have to say this. So my dad's high school football coach played with Vince Lombardi at Fordham University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So I was a Packer fan from the time I could, walk. And Lombardi was insistent that if the time to start a meeting or to get on a bus to go to a game was 10 a.m. as an example, you were there at 9:45. And he actually supported that by leaving 2 players behind on an away game. I don't know if you know this story or not. Yeah. And he literally took the rest of the team to the airport, and he left those 2 starters at home because they couldn't be there early enough for him.
I love that.
Yeah.
More of our culture needs that today.
Well, our head of engineering is ex-military, solid guys, 2 tours in Iraq, and he'll always, if I say Lombardi time, he'll follow up by if you're not early or late. Right?
He already knows what time it is.
Right.
How's your definition of success evolved as time has gone on?
I think it's having the respect of the people that you work with and the understanding that people have different perspectives, different ideas, and just to be open to that. I've been asked what my management style is, and really it's to just get out of the way and let people do their jobs, but to be available 24/7. The last thing you want to do is hire somebody into any role, particularly an executive role, and then tell them or try to do their job for them. Nothing would get anyone more frustrated. You brought me in, you gave me this responsibility, now you're going to tell me what to do. What do you need me here for? So my definition of success is how well people we hire grow and matriculate through the company. And we have a little bit of a running joke. We've had people leave, like you do in any company, and they always, in almost every single case, take on more responsibility. So I kind of call it like, double or triple A baseball. You come in, we work together as a team, help you grow professionally and personally. And then if you can find something that interests you more or you take on more as a result, and we don't have that particular thing to offer you in the company, I'm totally supportive. And it's taken a long time for people to understand that I only want the best for you career-wise, and I'll be a reference if that's what it takes to get you the next job. Don't want to lose you under any circumstances, but not if you're not happy or not if you've got something that you can go to that will allow you to, again, advance your career.
That's awesome. How do you retain good talent then if you want them to be?
You over communicate. You be as honest with them as you possibly can be. You make sure that you ask the second and third level questions when it comes to how they're doing, not just passing by in the office. We do quarterly events where, we have one tomorrow. We're going to go up and clean the Central Oregon Trail as a company. And then we're going to do go-kart racing as a fun thing in the quarter. We do a lot of Habitat for Humanity stuff. We've done axe throwing and all this. We go to the baseball games here in town. So try to do a service thing with a fun thing and make it as much of a family as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the biggest challenge that have come from that? Learning everybody's different styles, or how do you feel like you keep what events to pick or what service teams to pick?
Well, I'm a huge believer in the Habitat one. We've been doing that for, all 4 companies I've run, different parts from Washington, California, now Oregon. I think that's the best way to give back. The problem with that is you've got to go in groups because they just aren't going to take 30 or 40 people at one time. There's too much of a liability. I mean, they've also kind of dialed down. We were using jackhammers and other things at the first one we did. And
you guys are getting after
it. But they don't let you do that anymore. So
a little anger management.
Exactly. Well, we open it up to the company and we ask what they want to do. And then the people that aren't based here, they can go volunteer on their own to whatever thing that they're most affiliated with. And when I've been in London on business, we'll do a food pantry thing or some other things over there to just help out and feel like we're giving back to the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you obviously run a global company now. Have all the companies you've worked with been global?
They have, and that has been something I'm probably most proud of, that I fundamentally believe the world is our oyster, and why would you not try to take your technology to other parts of the world? I think I told you I got that bug when I was in my 20s, and I got to live in outside of London for a few years, and I started reading a paper over there called the Financial Times, which is probably the most well-written business publication in the world, and I still do every day, which gave me a perspective. I mean, we have a lot of customers in Japan. It's still the 3rd largest GDP in the world. It's a great country. I was just over there a few months ago. I don't see any reason now with the internet. It's not like, this stuff is all in the cloud. You're not shipping discs anymore or documentation or putting it in boxes or localizing the cover of the box, which is what you had to do early in my career. So now the fact that it's all cloud-based allows you to light up customers anytime, anywhere in the world very seamlessly.
Wow. So internet has definitely advanced your business and your industry.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yes. And we host all of our technology today in the Microsoft Azure cloud. We could host in AWS or Google, but we chose Microsoft for a reason. And so it's one cloud, and we have people using it from all over the world.
That's awesome. It's probably wild to see that big a reach for your product.
Well, for a company as small as us in Bend, Oregon, too, right?
Right.
I mean, first time I went to Tokyo, you hand out the business cards there, and they actually read them. It's a very formal process, and they're looking, and they go, Bend, Oregon. I'm like, yeah. Vancouver, San Francisco, in between. That was the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. I was just in Munich a couple of months ago at BMW's headquarters. A great experience. They're buying our product, have bought our product already. So I was in Australia 3 weeks ago. I'm very fortunate. I travel a lot. I'd be at the gym more if I didn't, but I try to work out when I'm on the road as much as I can. So yeah, it's kind of I don't know if it's a rush anymore, but I certainly get a lot out of it. I love learning about different people, different cultures, different customs, for sure.
What's something that, somebody who has a regional business or smaller business locally, what's the gap between local and global? Like, because you're working in different time zones.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's got to be, are you willing to strap it on and take on that responsibility? Because you don't just throw your stuff over the wall and that's it. Like on Thanksgiving morning, I'm talking to the head of sales in London because it's not Thanksgiving there. It may only be a 20-minute conversation, but you've got to realize that there are holidays that we have that they don't, and vice versa. I'm up early every morning and I check in with the Europeans because they're 8 hours ahead of us, if not 9. And then at the end of my day, it wouldn't be a problem at all to be on the phone with somebody in Sydney or Tokyo because it's the next day their time. So I think it's a mindset. Are you willing to do that? And if you are and really put the effort in, you'll reap the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
awesome.
is free, right?
Yeah. There's a price to everything.
Yeah.
Going back to 30-year-old version of you, what would you tell yourself? What advice?
I think I've dialed it down a lot since then.
What were you doing at 30? You were obviously in tech.
Oh yeah, I've been in tech since I was 21, and I started in sales. I told you, and I remember I'll come up to 30, but even in my 20s, very aggressive, like sports, sales, competitive. You're gold, you're measured, and I remember once that somebody back in Boston, I was in Philadelphia at that point, opening up a new office for this company that ended up moving me to London later. And I got so frustrated at somebody at headquarters, I literally took the phone and threw it across the room and it smashed against the wall.
Yeah, you were frustrated.
Just because I didn't think they appreciated what we were going through down there. You're not at headquarters, you're remote. So that's calmed down dramatically.
Yeah.
So when I was 30, I'd come back from London, went to Boston on a short assignment, and we moved to Bellevue. And I walked into an office where literally everybody in there was older than me. I mean, in their 40s, at least. And I was this guy from Boston where that's where the company was headquartered, who they just brought out there and threw in as their manager, whether they liked it or not.
That was probably tough.
Oh, that was not easy because they had their opinions of not only why this happened to them, why didn't somebody local get hired? Who's this guy from the East Coast? He's 30 years old. Does he really know what he's doing? It took some time, but we all ended up getting along, doing well. And I guess one of the definitions of success, we went back to Boston for a global sales kickoff meeting, and we were the only region in America that hit all of our numbers that year. And so we got recognized and some money for it. And so I guess it
Everyone
worked.
bought in.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you overcome that adversity of going somewhere brand new, youngest guy, they didn't believe in you?
I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to move back to the East Coast. It wasn't easy. There were clicks there that I had to break through. I was also very fortunate to be able to hire new people too. And so as I was interviewing them, I made sure that I felt like we were going to sync up, and I wasn't going to have to worry about them being on that side of the fence versus this side. And eventually, again, it all came together. I will tell a story about one of the hires I made. He was ex-IBM, great guy, still friends till today. And we came back to Boston, and one of the VP of sales comes up to me, Irish guy from Boston. You can imagine, like, stereotype, like. And he says, "Great minority hire, Dan." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, I won't say his name, but he said, "Great, Michael, he's great." I won't say his last name. And I'm like, Jim, I never even thought about his color when I hired him. I didn't know I was going to get bonus points for that. Of the 10 people we interviewed, he was the best. And he ended up becoming, again, a good friend. We ended up playing in a very competitive men's basketball league together.
Nice.
So I don't know. I just wasn't going to get pushed out of town. You don't move your family 3,000 miles and then quit.
Yeah, you're here to stay.
Yeah.
Was that hard navigating the racial part of, the DEI world, all the different minority this, minority that?
Yeah, so we're not big enough really to have to deal with it. We obviously have people from all over the world, different cultures, different languages, different colors, different races. Candidly, in Bend, it's hard to be diverse in this town. You want to be, but you just don't have that many applicants that are diverse. It's not for lack of effort.
Right.
And again, from that time back at 30 years old till now, I've never looked at somebody's color in determining whether they were the best candidate or not.
Mhm.
And we never had quotas. The companies I run are smaller venture backed. I'm sure if I was still at IBM and some of my
Yeah.
other employers, I would have dealt with that a lot more. But again, here, it's hard to be diverse.
Yeah.
I
It's like
wish there was I wish there was a better way to say that, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Are you pretty connected to the other CEOs in your industry?
For sure. Yeah, without a doubt, I make it a point. Stay closer to your friends, but closer to your enemies.
What's the kind of talking points you have with them? Is it about your industry, the leadership of
Yeah, what are the
climate?
challenges they're
Yeah.
facing? It's not to try to unearth any competitive intelligence. I've had dinner with the CEO of our most direct competitor in London multiple times. They're based in Stockholm, Sweden, so it's easier. Or in Florida, trade shows, we get together for a drink or dinner. So it's just mutual respect.
Mhm.
And, are you saying the same things I am? Not sharing any trade secrets, but just wanting to know who my competition is.
Yeah.
I mean, much like you did, you
Yeah.
studied, I'm sure, who you're going up against on any given Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Understand all their little secrets and everything, and then try to master my own game plan.
Exactly.
And come close to it. AI. What do you think? You hear about AI? What do you think about? What excites you? What makes you nervous?
So what excites me is what we're getting done using AI with a lot fewer resources. Our marketing department is one person.
Wow.
And he is a machine. He's in London. So by the time I wake up in the morning, I see all kinds of things he's put in our inboxes. We use Microsoft Teams to collaborate. What's on LinkedIn that he's posted.
Mhm.
He uses AI for an awful lot of that. You go back 5-6 years ago, it would have taken 4 or 5 people to do that. And now it's him.
Yeah, moving way faster.
Yeah. We use a lot of AI in our analytics. And machine learning, not to get technical here at all, but we're adopting it. We're also working with Microsoft directly to bring Copilot into our offering. That's a huge, huge deal for them. We're one of only 26 companies, they tell us, that have been selected to build with them so that they will actually provide us engineering resources.
Oh, wow.
Well,
that's awesome, right?
That's all that Microsoft, well, I shouldn't say that's all. Microsoft has a lot of interest in AI and Copilot right now. What scares me is I've been in meetings where presentations have been put together using AI and the numbers on slide 5 are different than the numbers on slide 2. So this stuff is, not bulletproof.
Right.
And these large language models, these LLMs, as they call them, they've got to be updated because if they're not, they're going to give you bad information. And another example was somebody was sending us some information they used AI for, one of my investors, and they talked about an acquisition that happened, and I was aware of that because it was in our ecosystem. And AI had the acquisition backwards.
Oh boy!
Like literally, the other one company bought this one, but in the AI was the other way around. It was vice versa.
So not even proofreading.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it, completely at this point. It's good for certain things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you use it personally or just for business?
Yeah, I have Copilot on my in my Outlook.
Yeah,
I like to write my own things. I'll let it occasionally, but I feel like a lot of that grammar school Catholic training I had was beat into me by the nuns years ago. So
got to put it to use.
Yeah,
just all good. How do you say AI changing leadership over the next 5 to 10 years?
I saw something about an AI startup that thinks they're going to use it to replace CEOs. I find that hard to believe. Not that it couldn't happen, but there's a lot more to AI in being a leader than just spitting out the right information. I think it's a tool that's going to evolve. I think we also are going to experience something that we did years ago, the dot-com bubble, which some people refer to as the dot bomb because only a handful of companies really succeeded back then.
Mm-hmm.
I think and these are Sam Altman and guys that are like, authorities on AI are calling it a bubble right now. I do think it's going to shake out over the next 5 years or so. And not all these companies that have multi-billion-dollar valuations are going to make it.
Yeah.
Just like in the dot-com era.
Yeah. It's been crazy to see just like last even year and a half with AI and just how much has like progressed and people are talking about it. And
yeah, I don't know if you know the search tool Perplexity.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
So they just raised a couple $100 million and they have a $20 billion valuation.
And they've been around for what, a year?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I have a friend, one of my friend's sons works there, and good for him. But at some point, the rubber meets the road, and is that going to be your valuation when you go public? We'll see. I think they certainly are a survivor, but not all of these multi-billion-dollar ones that I just said from a valuation standpoint are going to be. It's just impossible. It's statistically impossible.
Right. For this much success to happen with one industry, You've seen a lot of different generations: Boomers, Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z.
Have some of my own.
Yeah. As a CEO, how have you seen that workforce change over the years?
Yeah. So my employees probably are tired of me telling them that I had to wear a suit and tie to work 5 days a week, and that getting out early at 4 o'clock on a Friday was a long weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what we did back then. That was just, what you signed up for. I try to be very understanding of particularly the generation we have right now. But at the same time, I'm a little bit suspect. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal about a month ago how this particular generation in the workforce does not want to, and I know I'm generalizing, but this article the journal does its research. A large majority of this current generation doesn't want to speak to somebody on the phone, would rather text or send an email.
Interesting.
And I don't know how that works long term. I mean, particularly when almost everything we do is video based today.
Right.
You're on a Zoom call, you're on a Teams call, you're on a Google Meet call. So
yeah, that's a little frightening.
Yeah. Again, it was one article in a reputable publication. I didn't drop the hammer during the pandemic or post the pandemic on how many people had to be on a certain day. I wanted to initially.
Why? Is that because of the old way of things, or just? Yeah,
but also it wasn't just in my generation. It was up until the pandemic that people came in 5 days a week. We, it was cohesive. We collaborated. We went out for lunch. We went out for drinks. I mean, I look at this younger generation. I had a conversation with an investment banker friend. He's been doing this forever, like me. And he was bemoaning about the fact that he had to go in the office 2 or 3 days a week. I go, what about the kids you hire right out of school, these analysts that work for you? He goes, oh, yeah, they're there 5 days a week. I'm like, how does that make them feel?
Right.
If you're not showing up with them? You had to do that when you were their age, so why is it different now? I mean, there are two sides to everything, but I never force people to come to work. It's interesting that in the last probably 6 or 7 months, taken longer than I would have thought, but we have had more people come in to work physically. Certain days of the week, Friday, not many, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, yeah, a lot. So without forcing the issue, water has kind of risen, not completely back up to its own level. We're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. That's never going to happen.
Right.
But to get a group of people, not someone, but a group of cohesive engineers in a room for a couple of hours brainstorming on a whiteboard, and their colleagues are attending by video as well. But to have the bulk of those people physically in there, because what happens is when you turn the video off, inevitably there's still conversation. And that's happening in the room, and you're missing out on that. Not always, because if you're still recording it, fine, they can listen to it after. But if you stop recording on a Teams meeting, they're not going to get those next 10 or 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to force people to come into an office. Again, we have remote people that are very strong contributors, but I still think there's something to be said for particularly onboarding new employees. And also because when you put a lot of smart people in a room together, good things tend to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I couldn't imagine being a remote worker, like my personality.
Well,
I need to be around people.
there are people that have said, at some point, not only am I bored, but I'm talking to my dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And your dog doesn't talk back. So, if you really want interaction and you want to feel like you're being heard, you've got to be around other people.
Yeah. What was the first time that you noticed the generational workforce changing? Was it that Friday leave early mentality?
I think the pandemic really exacerbated it for me. Yeah. And the reluctance to come back and the insistence that I'll never go back to an office, and people leaving their particular jobs to do that, as in going and finding, and because there are companies that everyone works remote still, and they make a big deal out of that when they're recruiting you. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was the pandemic where I noticed it the most, for sure.
Yeah. Do you see it ever going back to complete back in real time, in real person, or do you feel like it's just just stuck this new remote work lifestyle?
I think it's the word we use is hybrid. I think it's going to stay hybrid for a long, long time. I mean, I respect the CEO of Amazon insisting all their employees come back, and Jamie Dimon, who runs JP Morgan, telling everybody what they're missing by not having everybody at work 5 days a week. I totally agree with them. I just don't know how practical it is anymore.
Yeah. Where do you see Dan being at in 5 years from now?
On a beach?
No,
I don't know. I mean, people ask me that. In Bend, I walk into a store, I get my hair cut. Oh, are you retired? Are you still working? Because I guess I look like I should be. And I'm like, no, I actually still work. I run a software company. And you almost feel like you have to apologize for that in Bend.
Yeah, right.
So many people don't work or barely work. And so I don't know. I've vacillated between, being on a board or two, running a company for the next, running this company or even another one for the next 3 to 5 years. Going into high school coaching. The problem with that, though, Corn, is you have to drive 3 hours to play a game here. This is like the hardest place. I have so much respect for the Bend High and Summit and all these coaches. Yeah. I know them. I don't know some of the others at Mountain View, or Caldera, but the fact that I mean, any sport, like a Tuesday and you're playing basketball and you're at Wilsonville. So I don't know. Maybe I should just go Pop Warner where we play on a Saturday or a Sunday and
a little lower
not have to travel. But always thought about coaching as an option. But I love the thrill of tech, and you can't stop learning in tech. It's impossible, which keeps your brain going. So as much as we try to keep our bodies healthy, dementia is a direct result of not challenging yourself mentally in most cases. I mean, I know some of it's hereditary, but the more you can work your mind, the better you're going to be long term.
How has fitness been a big part of your journey, working out at a high level?
Yeah. I don't know if I should share this, but when I was younger, I was overweight. I grew up in that era where you drank regular Coke, you had ice cream at night after dinner.
Sugar and carbs.
My dad's side is Greek, and so there was always food in front of you, maybe more food than you should have had. And so when I was younger, again, there was a reason I ended up as a center on a football team or a goalie in hockey or catcher in baseball.
Yeah, I know that goes.
That's where they put the big guys. And so I became weight conscious. And I also received bullying is too strong of a word, but kids were your teammates and classmates were very happy to point out your size, right? And so I just said, this is not going to be me long term. And luckily, I think it was my 8th grade year, I grew 4 inches. but I ended up still playing a lot of those positions, and it went full circle from trying to lose weight to then gain weight to play offensive line at a small college level. But when I got done, I remember that I was like, I'm never going to touch a weight again. I'm sick and tired of deadlifts and squats and bench. This is like, I had to kill myself to get to 230 pounds naturally. And I started running, doing road races. I got down to 180 a year later. And then I'm like, everyone's like, you don't look good.
Are you sick?
Yeah. So like, maybe I should get back in the gym a little bit. So then I started lifting again. And now I think, my routine it's a combination of, weights and probably more cardio than weights these days. And just because it's important to stay healthy and keep your weight under control as you get older. So, I'm a little bit of a type A. I'm a Virgo. I have all the characteristics. If you follow astrology at all, firstborn, overachiever, calm, whatever. But so I work out 7 days a week.
Yeah, every day.
Something.
Yeah, movie body.
I bought this weighted vest recently.
Nice.
And rucking, and that's I don't run as much. I don't run at all because my feet are so beat up from sports. So, but I like that.
What was the inspiration behind the weight vest?
Well, I've seen a lot about it, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to be indoors all the time on my Peloton when I'm at home or at Lyft 6 days a week. So let's get outside and try to do some things. And so now at least once or twice a week, I put it on, I put my earbuds in, and I cruise around our neighborhood for almost 4 miles. And it's a great workout, but you don't feel like your lower back and feet don't hurt like you've been running, right?
The impact's not as high.
But you can feel the core and all the other things that come with it.
Absolutely. What are you a podcast, music?
I'm more music. Yeah. I've started to listen to podcasts a lot more, but I'm a music guy. I'm a Pandora, Spotify when I'm outside of the U.S. because Pandora still can't stream internationally.
Oh, gotcha.
They don't have the rights.
Talk about that.
Yeah. But I love music. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can leave our listeners with one tip about finding success in society, in the workforce and business, what would it be?
I just think you have to be, and I wouldn't have said this, in my 30s, but very open-minded and flexible and appreciative of another person or other people's perspective, because you don't know it all. And if you think you do, you're in the wrong job. As I said earlier in the conversation, you want to hire the best people possible, and you want them to take on as much responsibility as possible, not because I'm lazy, but because they want to grow. And then you're there as a resource as they need you, if they need you. And hopefully that is enough to make you, them, and the business successful.
That's awesome. Well, Dan, we appreciate your time today and
Thanks,
all your
Corn.
wisdom given to the Art of Hustle podcast. How can people find you? LinkedIn, probably the best one?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best.
Okay.
Way. Yeah.
We'll drop a link on this episode for Dan for his LinkedIn, so you guys can follow him, keep up with him, and all the good he's doing in the world. Thank you to our sponsor, Thump Coffee, for this episode. We
Bobby,
appreciate you. Bobby's our last
Well,
episode.
our office is next to Bobby, don't you?
Yeah, over on the west side.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Art of Hustle podcast. We out.